Now, I didn't have a sound check. Can you hear me way up there? All right. Gab, I think I need one of those recalcitrant socks. I wonder if it helps with stage fright. I'm Angela Irvine, and this is my senior sage. Well, I think I have the senior thing down pat. I'm still working on the sage part. It's been a long time between speeches because I have not addressed the student body since Dr. Eldridge asked me to make the convocation speech in 1996, shortly after Atlanta hosted the Summer Olympics. But since I'm retiring this year after over 43 years at the Academy, I thought it might be time for another one. The thought of retiring hasn't been easy. I've been going back to school each September for my whole life. And I must admit that my past 2 years, Royal Purple and Awesome Orange classes have made it especially hard. You pizza-loving people have been willing to follow me down some tough, rough literary roads with little complaint and great generosity, and it makes it hard to leave you. I also have seniors and sons and daughters of students I have taught, all dear to me. All of you students who have had a class in row 211, the small classroom next to the English office, know that the temperature there swings widely between meat locker and sauna. It never hits the temperate zone. Currently, Wes Ballantyne, Paul Azak, and I do battle with the elements in this little room. When I call Dave Sharina the big brother of climate control about trying to adjust it, he tells me, "I will try, Angela, but there's not a lot I can do. You're at the end of the line." End of the line, Now there's an evocative phrase, and most appropriate. Am I really at the end of the line? And what kind of line was it? When I was much younger, a kid really, the most popular game show on television was What's My Line? The show was not about winning a lot of money. Most contestants won about $50 or less. The object was for celebrity panelists to make witty conversation and to question contestants and guess their occupations. A favorite question on this show was, is there a product involved in what you do? As a teacher for some time, I have often thought, yes, there's a product involved in what I do, and you, my friends, are it. I am also assuming that most of you are bigger than a bread box, which was invariably the next question on this show. But what about the beginning of this line? It is difficult to contemplate the end without thinking of the beginning. The first class I ever taught was at Morehouse College, the men's college, Dr. Martin Luther King's alma mater, part of Atlanta University. I was asked by a friend in graduate school with me at Emory to help him co-teach a section of freshman humanities at Morehouse. He felt pretty confident in history, philosophy, and religion, but asked me if I would teach music and literature to a freshman class of young African American men. I was 22 years old with the equivalent of a master's degree. I said, sure, I'd like to try. What's the first lesson? Bach fugues, he replied. Bach fugues. And then the fun began. I wasn't even thinking about walking into that class with recordings of Bach fugues in the textbook. That seemed the way of death. My dad was a jazz buff, and I quickly decided that we needed a more modern example of fugue form. So I added a recording of Dave Brubeck's quartet playing I'm in a Dancing Mood to the pile. This was a famous recording at the time, made at the Newport Jazz Festival in 1956. In my first class, the students worked hard to understand the form and hear the 5 repeated entrances of the theme. I think we got the Bach about as well as we got the Brubeck. But I knew we were on to something when one of my students asked me to bring the records back next class and said he would bring his sax and play along each time the themes were introduced. There were no saxes in Bach's day, but this detail was insignificant. Now today, I would install the new app on my iPad that Trish Kevlin showed us in the last in-service day, and colored notes and instruments would dance across the smartboard screen as the theme was introduced 5 times in the fugue section of Benjamin Britten's Young People's Guide to the Orchestra. Of course, given my particular technological karma, technical difficulties would come up. And I would probably have to go next door and ask Mr. Azak to come help me straighten them out. But in these days, there was just a record player, and even I could handle that. These young men were willing to approach something new, find a way to bring it into their experience, and take me with them. I was thrilled. So right in the middle of my relief that I had not fallen flat on my face in my new class, came word that Dr. Benjamin Mays, the renowned president of Morehouse College, mentor to Martin Luther King Jr., would like to see me. Oh no, I thought, what have I done? I had heard Dr. Mays speak. He was a legend in the South. I was literally petrified as I went to his office. His first question was whether the young men in my class were treating me with respect. I replied truthfully, yes, sir, of course. But as our conversation continued, it slowly dawned on me that what he really wanted to know was if I were treating them with respect. Did I like them? And did I expect good things from them? I wish I could say that Dr. Mays became my personal mentor as he was Dr. King's, but that would not be true. But he did trust me with one class of his most precious possessions, his young Morehouse men. Dr. Mays' unwavering emphasis on 2 ideas in particular, the dignity of all human beings and the incompatibility of American democratic ideals with American social practices, became vital strains in the language of Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement. But as I sat in his office, I knew that the only thing that mattered to him was not if I had a good brain, but if I had a good heart. So, in all my educational travels since, 2 places have meant the most to me. One was the Breadloaf School of English at Middlebury College. Its motto is "Save the Children, one classroom at a time." I understand this motto and even believe in it. All of my students know that I want you to keep you and your heads out of mashed potato land. I don't want you to be interviewed on jaywalking or some other fine TV show and not know who Abraham Lincoln is. Or worse, to think he played for the Giants. I don't want you to think Shakespeare and Sophocles could have been friends. I do believe that education, a good education, counts. And the door swings both ways. And at Shady Side, my home for over 43 years, you have saved me. There is no waiting for Godot in my life. My life has been filled with joy and purpose, all because of you. I've always known where I was going. I was going to school, and that you would be here. I've had so many great moments, literally thousands. When I watch Olivia and Zoe and the other girls play ice hockey, I think again that the decision to take Shady Side co-ed was the single best decision the board has made in my 43 years at the academy. When I watched Lewis Berry and Dennis Briggs perform their scene from Radio Golf last year, I was as spellbound as the rest of the class, and it broke my heart as the friends in the scene parted. Krishna could give a lesson in group work as he encourages and corrals the members of his team to do their best. Amy Donahue opened Mark Doty's poem, New Dog, in a way that had made me see it almost for the first time. Isabella Nairn taught me more than any human has a right to know about The Bachelor. Eat your heart out, Hendershot. I am tremendously grateful for your friendship and everything all of you have taught me. But in the end, Dr. Mays was and is right. The real business of education is not about reading good books. It's about leading good lives. It's about creating empathy within so that we reject bigotry, prejudice, and narrow-mindedness, and choose instead justice for all, tolerance for each other's differences, and generosity toward those who have less. For what use is a fabulous intellect unless it is informed and guided by a good heart? In English, we teach great literature to look for truths of the human heart. I am so proud of you when you find them, and you rarely disappoint. I am absolutely counting on you to continue to do so as you grow and leave here. Having a fine brain is all very well. I consider you blessed. But the real test, and the only one that truly counts, is do you have a good heart? Godspeed.